Coming up on Rob on the Road, Sacramento's historic downtown. We'll explore one of its most beautiful places, Capitol Park. Find out why it's known as the People's Park.
Over 1.5 million people come to the Capitol every year.
Where does that rank in California?
The 5th largest visited site in California.
Plus, step back into California's early history at Sutter's Fort, where Sacramento began.
I hope that everybody gets a chance to visit the fort. It is a much more important and much more interesting place in history than anyone could ever imagine.
Rob on the Road, Sacramento's historic downtown starts now.
And now, Rob on the Road, exploring California.
Welcome to the heart of history in the capital city, Sacramento's historic downtown. Right where I'm standing is pretty much where Sacramento began, Sutter's Fort, the first center of power in Sacramento. We'll explore Sutter's Fort, now a state historic park. This began as a huge farm and agricultural empire built by John Sutter in 1839. Here we'll learn about Sutter Fort's critical role in the development of the valley, his ties to the Donner Party, and learn how he got so much land from the Mexican government. Find out why the fort was abandoned. But first, one of the most famous and thriving locations in Sacramento's historic downtown is Capitol Park. There are 40 perfectly landscaped acres for you to enjoy, with more than 1,000 trees from all over the world, as well as moving memorials to the fallen heroes of America and a rose garden that ranks among the best in the nation. This is arguably one of the most famous rose gardens in America, the International World Peace Rose Garden, a half-acre home to more than 650 rose bushes. There are more than 140 varieties in a rainbow of colors and fragrances. Many consider this Capitol Park's most iconic place.
It represents the fact that, tranquility, the fact that peace is a word that is used in our everyday language, and when we say peace, it brings a calmness about you. Everybody wants it.
It's so interesting that you say that, because if you walk the grounds, you hear many different languages.
Of course.
But when you come to the Rose Garden, you don't hear people talking. There's a silence, there's a universal language here, and it is one of tranquility.
Without a doubt. People are here to smell the roses, take pictures, bring their kids, bring their family, read a book, and just enjoy the ambiance of the garden.
It is so beautiful today, and I can't help but stop and smell the roses. You're supposed to do that in life, right?
Absolutely.
And this is the perfect place. This is your park. It's my park. It is California's front and backyard.
Correct.
This is the People's Park. So walk with me over here. I see names on all of the different varieties here. Mellow Yellow, I see Pink Flamingo, there's a Neil Diamond. There's also famous Californians here, Rosie O'Donnell, Barbara Streisand. You have the whole...
Cary Grant,
you have the full gamut of stars here.
Yeah.
And the stars are the roses, but they're named after stars.
Rob, let me show you this one right here.
Okay. Why this one?
This is Maria Shriver.
Oh, wow.
This was introduced in 2005.
How beautiful.
And she was here for the dedication. And we're very proud. This is one of the nicest roses in the garden. And thought you might want to see that one.
Absolutely gorgeous, of course, named after
Maria
former
Shriver.
California First Lady Maria Shriver.
Correct.
And the pinks and the reds, you see every color in the rainbow here.
Yes.
This rose garden and all of its spectacular varieties rank among one of the best in the country.
Without a doubt. It ranks in the top 10 for sure.
That's fantastic. People come here for a certain feeling, type of peace, and the memorials that are so beautiful all throughout Capitol Park provide a different type of peace as well.
That's true. And next we're going to go over to the Vietnam Memorial and take a look at that.
Okay, it's just right next door.
Yes, let's go. This is the Vietnam Memorial. There's over 5,500 names on the wall.
That's just of California.
That's just of California. And it's a very solemn place.
We have more veterans in California than any other state in the country. Did you know that?
No, I did.
More than anywhere. South Vietnam, 1959 to 1975, my goodness. Here we see the beautiful flag as well as the prisoners of war flag still flying here. What does this mean to you?
It's an honor. It's an honor for all the men and women who fought for our country.
You have many memorials throughout Capitol Park.
Correct. We have the All Wars Memorial. We've got the Policeman's Memorial. We've got the Firefighters Memorial. We have the Civil War Memorial, garden and trees over by the trout pond. We've got the Purple Hearts Memorial. This park has got a lot of history. When you come through Capitol Park, you walk down Capitol Mall, and this view hasn't changed in 130 years.
It's beautiful. What are these?
These are Irish yews.
Irish yews.
Yes.
So they've been here since the late 1800s.
Yes.
My goodness. These exact trees.
Exactly. We've replaced a few, but for the most part, they're all the same.
That's fantastic. Do you like them?
Well, sorta. Yeah,
Sorta.
they're very difficult to maintain. And when I first came here to take over the park in 2003, I wanted to get rid of them. I did. I wanted to tear these out, put cherry blossoms.
Oh, that's pretty.
All the way down Capitol Mall, kind of a spin-off of Washington, D.C. But then I found out how iconic they are and how they are so historical to the park. And I said, no, I don't want to go down that road.
That was smart.
Yeah, I like my job.
And this is the extension? Tell me about that.
Yeah, this is the east side of the park from 12th Street to 15th is considered the extension of Capitol Park, which came about in 1872, where the people actually donated, I think, a lot of this land, and then the city came up. I think it was like $100,000 initially for the property, but then they were short $29,000, and they did a fundraiser through the community, and they came up with the additional $29,000, and they were able to acquire this property.
Fantastic.
And somewhere along the line, they allocated $20,000 more to add to the beauty of the park, the shrubbery and trees and things of that nature. And
$20,000.
$20,000 at that time was a lot of money, and it was able to.
It still is.
Still is a lot of money. I agree with that.
So the original part is on the other side.
They consider that the terrace.
The terrace.
The terrace is what the original part of the grounds were considered, and where you get your original plantings.
They were planted before this building was even finished, and they are still here thriving.
Quite a few of them are. We've lost a few, but for the most part, a lot of them are still here.
Trees that are thriving and rooted in history. The California State Capitol was built from 1860 to 1874. The oldest side, the west side, the origins of this architectural golden treasure.
So this right here is the original entrance to the California State Capitol. That door right there. How cool is that? I mean, what a change we've had, by the way. But I can just totally see this being a hall of history and people going through there. And so if people are wondering which side is the front, this is it. The view of the Tower Bridge, the steps leading down from the Capitol. This is the front yard.
Yes, it is.
And what a yard that is.
Grand view. And by the way, Rob, the reason why the Capitol is facing west is because that's California's doorway in the 19th century.
Right there.
Yes, from people coming into California. They arrived in the bay by boat, and this acknowledges that this is how people entered the state.
Okay, so we're over here at the trees. that were planted before the building even opened.
Yes, 1871.
And here they are,
Yes.
and they are huge and beautiful, Vito.
These are European plants. Again, they tried to incorporate 800 plants in 1871 from around the world to try to give people an education of the culture and of the different variety of plants around the world. So it was kind of like an arboretum for the world here in California.
Arboretum for the world.
Yes.
And the reason that happened during that Victorian era was because you had to bring those trees here.
Right.
People didn't go see them like we do now, or some people do now.
Exactly.
They were brought here for people to see the world.
Right, because travel was restricted, it was difficult, it wasn't like today. So to bring the world to you as a visitor or to a person who works here was a way of educating you. It's kind of like what they called cabinet of curiosity. It was a way to bring the world in here. And these trees are from Europe, and they have been well preserved, taken care of. So these are the real heritage trees for the Capitol Park.
I like that, the heritage trees.
We have probably the most variety of trees anywhere west of the Mississippi. And so if you come here, you'll see trees, and not only the most variety, but some of the largest specimens of those trees because the soil's so rich and they were so well taken care of. So you'll see some of the largest varieties of these different trees.
One of the things I've noticed also is that trees live longer here at Capitol Park than they would in other places because of the care. For instance, these deodar cedars
Yes.
typically don't live
No.
as long as they have lived.
And these have lived over 140 years here because, again, they're taken care of, they're monitored, they're fed, and again, they're trying to trim them and take care of them so they survive the longest because they are a cultural and natural heritage for California.
I just love how every time you look, and I've been here
Oh, yeah.
a ton. This is kind of one of my quiet places that I
Yes.
come to. But I love how every time you look, you see something different. That is rare.
And it is rare because, again, as you come here, the trees changed.
What are your favorite trees here?
You're standing right here.
Really?
Because of the shade, and it gives me, because they're so big, it reminds me, if you go into like a redwood forest, it has that sense, this tree's been here so long and it's seen so much history. For me, because that affects me as a historian, being underneath this tree gave me a sense of kind of eternity, like this tree has been here forever. So it satisfies my need for tranquility, but also for history.
Heritage Row is 10th Street, and it brings you right to this iconic view at the corner of 10th and M. Look at that.
It is one of the most photographic, iconic images you'll see in California. And it has two sides of the building with the park in it, and this phenomenal contrast of that color of the white against the deep blue sky.
Oh.
It seems like it's been there forever. So it has that very permanent kind of quality, very classical permanent quality that people love. And it's been, again, photographed for publications, for TV commercials, you name it, Rob.
Well, it is a piece of art
Yes.
in the park.
Exactly. That's a great terminology. It's what architecture has been called is frozen art. It's
Ooh,
been,
I like that.
It's kind of like frozen music or frozen art. You look at it and it gives you a kind of this aesthetic appeal.
I love how the palms wrap around that stunning view of the white up against the sky. That's what palms do. Boy, in California, look at that.
That is one of the most universally icon images of California.
The green in the sky. The 40 acres is enclosed by a 1.1 mile walk around, flanked with palms to designate the grounds. Right there is a giant sequoia. Behind it is a bunya bunya, that's from Australia. Here we have a tulip tree, a giant one. I mean, everywhere you look, there are trees and there's numbers on them.
Exactly.
Look for the small seal. It's a very small little medallion, it's silver, and there's a number on it. Like the bunya bunya has number 10 on it.
Yes. Well, if you go into the Capitol building in the basement, the tour office, they have free brochures. They will have a map of the park with a listing of all the trees on them.
Fun tour.
Yeah.
How many people come here?
Over 1.5 million people come to the Capitol every year.
Every year.
Every year.
Where does that rank in California as far as?
The fifth largest visited site in California.
That's documented.
Yes,
Wow. And the whole state.
in the whole state.
How cool is that? The People's Park.
I'm going to take you, Rob, to another time and place.
Okay. All right, how?
Well, if you look here, you'll see kind of the entrance, but it appears as if you could be anywhere in the world.
Oh my
It's this
gosh.
classical image
Europe.
that seems to be timeless. Like you're in Europe, you may be in a cathedral in Europe, or a temple in Greece.
Yeah, or Greece,
Or
or
in-
anywhere.
In London, in a cathedral in London. So you're kind of like a timeless architectural feature that could appear anywhere in the world.
Wow. I love that you showed us that view of the world right here.
Well, Rob, I want to tell you, in the 30 years or so I've worked here, you're the first person who's taken the time to look at it and film it and document it. So it's a
cool.
very rare opportunity for the public to see this.
Nice. I love that. That's our job.
It's my job too. I love to talk about these special places.
Capitol Park is open for you to explore every single day of the year. Back here at Sutter's Fort, let's take a walk back in time to California's earliest days, and this place is where it began. Oh my goodness, this is a trip back in time. Wow, what a
Yeah.
beautiful building.
Well, welcome to the interior of Sutter's Fort. It covered almost 2 city blocks in its original formation. Sutter arrived in 1839 and began constructing the fort almost immediately. This building that we see in front of us here, known as the Central Building or La Casa Grande in John Sutter's time, was the first permanent structure built in the interior of California. The first building built in the Central Valley.
Okay, so the missions were before, but they're coastal.
The missions, the rancho system, that was established as early as 1769.
So this really is the first one on the inland part of California.
Yes, exactly. When Sutter arrived here, of course, this was populated by thousands and thousands of California Indians. While this is the original building, the rest of the fort is a reconstruction done in the 1890s. So even it is now more than 100 years old. The original walls were, in many cases, simply taken down. The bricks were used to build the buildings of what became downtown Sacramento.
It is fascinating to me that you can literally put your hands on the origins of Sacramento.
Yes, yes, it is. This big wooden header that we see right here in this, so this was added during the Gold Rush era,
Why?
and this was a freight door so that they could access and back wagons up to this to load and unload supplies. See, in Sutter's time, this was his central administration building. It was originally his house as well, but during the Gold Rush, when tens of thousands of people from all over the world descend upon this region, and these are the only buildings anywhere around, this became the first hotel in California, and the basement down here became a billiard parlor, bowling alley, and card room. Wow. So,
The origins of all of that right here in this one building. Think about how many of those places you just named we have now. Restaurants, bars, tourist attractions, and this is where it began.
and this is where it all began. William Tecumseh Sherman, the famous Civil War general, once said in a speech that the man most responsible for California becoming a part of the United States was John Sutter.
And he wasn't even from America. He came here from, guess, do you know where he came from? Switzerland.
Switzerland was where his last destination before coming to the New World.
Tell us about all of this.
So, you know, this is a typical wagon that pioneers would have brought 2,000 miles from Missouri to California. You notice it's not much bigger than a minivan. And into this, you had to place everything that you needed for life on the trail for 5 months, plus everything you needed to make a new life in California. People didn't even travel inside the wagon. If you were inside the wagon, it's because you were ill or something had happened to you, you'd broken a leg. No, people walked to California.
Oh my
A
gosh.
2,000-mile walk. This little space was packed with everything you needed on the trail, everything you needed for your new life in California, and things that you picked up along the way.
John Sutter played a role in the Donner Party story. Was he expecting them?
Well, he was expecting a large migration that year, and what we don't often hear is, yes, while the Donner Party did get trapped in the mountains that winter of 46-47, almost 3,000 other people made it here safely.
Okay.
In fact, many of those people that were leading the Donner Party into California actually participated in their rescue. But it was Sutter who was largely responsible for their rescue. He provided the goods and material that were sent up to give them food until they could get out of the mountains. At least 2 of his Indians died as a result of trying to rescue the settlers that were trapped in the mountains. Patty Reed, her famous doll, is on display perpetually here at Sutter's Fort in our museum. It's probably our most famous artifact, but the reason she donated it and all of her collection of California history, which is huge, is because she felt a great affinity for the fort because of the salvation it gave to her and her family after that horrid winter of 46-47. By 1848, during the discovery of gold, he owned over 100,000 acres of the Sacramento Valley. He initially, in 1840, acquired a land grant of about 50,000 acres. That one was known as New Helvetia, or New Switzerland. He named it after his homeland from where he was immigrating. And then later he acquired another 96,000 acres that became known as the Sobrante, or surplus lands. And that was about everything else between here and Redding that wasn't owned by somebody else.
Wow. Was he friendly with the Mexican government?
I would say that they had a dichotomous relationship, that on one hand, they've given him this ground. On the other, they fear that he's a threat because he was able to establish a permanent settlement and thrive, something they had never been able to do.
Well,
even though they had
make
tried.
it, right?
They never thought he would succeed. Around the perimeter of the fort are the various rooms. Each of these different rooms talks about a different, yes, we may go in, talks about a different aspect of California history or the material culture of California. We're in the bakery room. So this is where Sutter's laborers made hardtack in vast quantities or where they prepared meals simply for the day. Remember, Sutter's daily workforce during times of harvest or planting are going to be somewhere around 500 or 600 people that need to be fed. Next door to the bakery is the Loom Room. So
the Loom Room.
The way Sutter expected to make money initially was to manufacture things that he could sell on the frontier. And blankets are something that's demanded by everyone. So the looms behind us here, these are complicated pieces of machinery to be made on the frontier.
I love the cannon. It's just pretty.
That's the cannon you're going to fire today.
This one?
Sutter's Russian gun.
Wow, I thought it would be on the roof.
Nope, this was the only piece of rolling artillery in California.
All right.
Okay,
okay?
Don't stab yourself. You're okay.
I better put in earplugs?
Put your earplugs in.
Here we go, kids.
All right.
Jeez Louise. Okay.
He's got to get close enough to shoot it, Mike.
What do I do?
Fire when ready.
What do you mean, fire?
Fire! Touch it.
Touch what? Oh,
touch the gunpowder.
Is it gonna happen immediately?
Yep.
Ah! All right, here we go. Ah! Jeez,
Let's secure the piece. Well, it went off. It was tight, whatever it was.
That thing was hot.
That thing was hot. We got it. Good job. Nice job. You're a gunner now. Welcome to Sutter's Army.
That is an experience I will never forget. So thank you so much.
You know, my pleasure, Rob. Thank you for coming to Sutter's Fort. Welcome to Sutter's Army. You know, as I said, the cannons were never fired in anger, but they were fired in celebration and a salute to visiting dignitaries. You're our visiting dignitary.
Oh, please. You are. You are.
Today we celebrate Rob on the road being with us at Sutter's Fort. You know, I hope that everybody gets a chance to visit the fort. It is a much more important and much more interesting place in history than anyone could ever imagine.
Tours here run every single day of the year except the major holidays. Sacramento's historic downtown. You have history, scenic beauty, just a great way to experience and celebrate Sacramento. I'm Rob Stewart. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon on the next Rob on the Road.
Touch it.
Touch what? Oh,
Touch the gunpowder.
is it gonna happen immediately?
Yep.
Ah!
That is one of the most universally icon images of California.
This view hasn't changed in 130 years.
Rob